What's up guys, this is Scoopman 5000. Today we're back for another action figure review, taking a step away from the WWE Heavy Week that we've had here on the channel. And we're looking at something maybe a bit more niche, but a toy line that has been my absolute favorite this year, and something that I've been waiting for pretty much since the game has been out. And of course that is Injustice Gods Among Us from Storm Collectibles. And today we're looking at the big bad Darkseid. So I got every Injustice Storm Collectibles figure so far. I got Bane, I got Doomsday, I got Lobo, and finally, hot off the truck from Big Bad Toy Store, today we got Darkseid. Now what's interesting about Darkseid is he was playable in Injustice 2, but in Injustice Gods Among Us, there wasn't really much of a Darkseid other than the mobile game and also a stage transition. I've always needed a good Darkseid in my collection, and I love Injustice, love Darkseid. There isn't really too many figures of him, and this is already looking like the best version of Darkseid you can get, and he's going to look great on the shelf next to all my other Injustice Gods Among Us figures that we've gotten so far. So if you've had a Storm Collectibles figure before, you know what to expect with the packaging. The front is a nice big window box. You're seeing everything you're getting. Darkseid is in plastic wrap. You got his face there. Injustice Gods Among Us, Darkseid, Storm Collectibles, DC, age 17 plus. On the top, you got the Injustice logo again. Not much on the side other than that Injustice logo. Got a nice image of the figure on the other side. And on the back of the figure, you got a whole spread of everything included with the figure. Some poses you could put him in. You got a read-up. And you got pictures of every alternate head and everything that's included, like I said. And on the bottom, you got all sorts of legal, Bandai Namco, UPC, all the things like that. But that's everything to do with the packaging, and it feels like I've been waiting more than a year for this figure. So, let's finally get to it, and let's crack open Darkseid. So here's your look at all the accessories that are coming included with Darkseid. Now, of course, when you're buying a $100+ figure, you're going to want to get multiple hands, multiple heads, and some accessories, and that's exactly what you're getting here with Darkseid. So starting with the head sculpts on the figure, you're going to be getting this kind of neutral expression for Darkseid, and that's a great sculpt. And his eyes are in that metallic red. That's a real cool look, and this is kind of like a brushed steel look on the blue. Some black on the back here, some good weathering on that. And then we do have a kind of like a screaming head. Now, of course, Injustice is a fighting game. A lot of grunts, a lot of screams. And it's a good emotive face for Darkseid, kind of mid-action. And then here we have a gritted teeth expression for Darkseid. You could say he's like in the middle of a clash or something right here. And the teeth are kind of done in that same kind of silvery, dark gray color. And this next one's really cool. We got the effect piece with those Omega red energy coming out of his eyes. I'm not usually a fan of like energy pieces as like a main display, but this one actually I could debate putting this one on my Darkseid. And these energy pieces are actually going to be removable on Darkseid, and then you're going to come in with these large Omega beams. Now, of course, with Darkseid, the idea behind these is that they kind of track the opponent, so they'll start here and they'll kind of change trajectory. And then these peg right into the face here, just like that. But just like that, you got a real cool Darkseid blasting out some Omega beams at his opponent. And even the beams themselves are removable from these pieces, so you got, I guess, another effect. And getting those out of the way, we'll go into the other hands. So of course you got the fist hands here that come included on the figure. They're all going to be pretty plain because Darkseid is wearing some kind of cobalt looking gloves. And then you have these kind of wide open hands, which are going to be real cool to do that classic pose where he's reaching out. That's probably going to be how he's going up on the shelf. And then you have a more straight out hand. And then these are some kind of clutching hands, which are also pretty good for action poses, or he could be grabbing somebody's head. Anything like that, these are going to be real cool. And here is Darkseid out of the package, and this is a magnificent figure. Gigantic. I'm having trouble even fitting it in my little studio here. And if you guys have never owned a Storm Collectibles figure before, these are unlike any other action figure I've ever held. They're a Chinese company, pretty much only make like fighting game characters, and I'm so glad that they make DC characters. And even if it's just limited to Injustice, Injustice is one of my favorite DC things, probably all time. So I'm all on board for these Storm Collectibles Injustice figures. I got every single one so far, and I'm going to collect anything else they're going to put out. I know they got a Batman coming, Superman coming, and there's even 2 versions of Ares, and I'm on board. As soon as those go up for order, I'm going to put those in, and you should expect to see them whenever they drop. But having them out of the package, you can definitely tell this guy is based on Injustice 2, which is interesting because obviously it's branded as Injustice Gods Among Us, and the other 3 characters we've seen so far and the new ones that are going to be revealed are all based on the first game. But if this does mean we're going to be able to get Injustice 2 characters, I'd love to see what Storm Collectibles would do with like Scarecrow or Swamp Thing or Gorilla Grodd. If you wanted to go crazy and do the DLC, I'd love to see the Injustice versions of all the Mortal Kombat guys, and even like Hellboy. So I do still need a good 7-inch scale Hellboy to go with all these figures. But enough talking about other figures in the line or what's coming forward, anything like that. Let's take a look at Darkseid. We're taking a look at the figure, of course, and I'm gonna have to use 2 hands for this guy. Obviously, we looked at the head sculpt already. Going to the torso here, and this is all one big rubbery piece that's going on top of the figure, kind of to hide all the articulation, which is something you'll see a lot with Storm Collectibles. So there's no real sculpt breaking up. Really, the only places you could see articulation is going to be in the arms. Everything else is pretty natural looking because of the way his armor is all set up. Even when you go down to the legs and the boots and everything, it all looks normal. It doesn't look like there's necessarily things breaking up the sculpt for articulation. It's really just the elbows and the shoulders. So really just a beautiful piece of work, craftsmanship right here by Storm Collectibles. Like I said, you never had a Storm Collectibles. There's no other action figures like him. So he's in that cobalt blue, and then you got some purple on the side here. All sorts of little armor bits. There's a kind of a gunmetal color here. And then the big Omega symbol is in gold. So the arms got a real nice texture to them. Kind of like a rock texture that he's got going on. That's on the shoulder, the bicep, the forearm. Then he's got these gauntlets here. These are kind of their own piece here, this rubber or this gauntlet here. Back of the figure's got a real cool armor design, kind of these pauldrons up top, and then some armor going down the spine. And then he's got some more textured tights going on down here. So you see they're smooth here, and then going through the thigh there, we got this kind of perforated texture here. And then to the boot, we got some knee pads going here, and then all sorts of geometrical kind of shapes going on to fill out those boots. Some armor pieces. Of course, this is Injustice 2 based. That whole game is armor pieces galore. And then down at the boots themselves, a bit more detail work here. Just some geometric shapes and things to make them look like a space god that he is. And then articulation on this guy is another big thing for Storm Collectibles, and like I said, not like any other action figure. I will say the head, though, I was having a bit of difficulty posing it. It kind of doesn't seem like it wants to rotate. I wonder if it's to do with this big dome that he's got around him. You got a good rotation here, but anything on the ball joint doesn't seem to want to move very much. It has some resistance to it, but I don't think you're going to be putting Darkseid in any extreme poses, especially when it comes to his head. But he's only really going to look up that much, and he has a pretty decent look down, but like I said, there's like a resistance to it. I think the neck is on its own joint, but it's a bit tight as well. It's kind of hard to tell. And then the torso especially, it is hard to tell exactly what's going on down here, but he's got great motion. You see he's got a side motion there. That side's even better. Figure can stretch all the way back. I'm sure he could even go more. And then forward. Like I said, it's like a big ball joint he's got going back here. You can see there's even some texture back here. This whole crotch middle piece here is just rubber. And so there's really just like a ball joint right here. And then this is the torso. So you get an extreme range of motion. I think there's another ball up top here. But like I said, it's all rubber. It's all kind of hollow on the inside. It's very unique. For the shoulders, there is a butterfly shoulder in there. You could see right there, there's a little shoulder piece inside. So the shoulders are going to move all sorts. And even because it's a rubber piece, the articulation isn't really blocked. And you could kind of move the shoulder all the way up like that. It'll just kind of bend the rubber. And you could also rotate the shoulder. And then you have the hinge on the shoulder as well. You have a really tight bicep swivel there. And then the double jointed elbow. That's really good for a big guy. And then the wrist is going to rotate. It's on a ball joint. It's going to get all sorts of movement. For the legs, again, everything's on a ball joint. So the hips, you can move all sorts. You can get them in almost a full splits. And then you can rotate the leg as well. Got a average double jointed knee. Not much movement at the lower leg, but it does make up with this large rotation here. And then you got ankle rockers. And you got a toe hinge. So a very unique beast is Darkseid, and now we're going to take a look at some comparisons with some other DC figures. So here's Darkseid with a Mattel Dark Knight Batman and Dark Knight Superman, and these guys, while they're 6-inch scale, or they even run a little bigger. I'm pretty sure they're around 6.5. So you can see how much more imposing Darkseid is to your 6-inch figures. And here he is with the Mcfarlane Toys Multiverse. We got Batman 1000 and Superman 1000. And I think especially with the Superman, these guys look awesome together. Here he is with the Mcfarlane Toys Hellbat Suit Batman and the Superman Unchained Armor. Again, some really cool looks here. Here he is with some more Mattel Multiverse figures. We got the Build-A-Figure Doomsday, and we got the Justice League movie Parademon. And I even have 2 Parademons, and they'll probably be surrounding Darkseid on the shelf. And here he is with the Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat 3 Scorpion. And you can see, even with a normal 7-inch figure, how he towers over him. And then this is an oddball. This is the Batman Unlimited Mattel Multiverse Injustice 1 Batman, who ran small for 6-inch figures, and sure as hell gets dwarfed by this Darkseid. This figure is a piece of shit. I can't wait to get the actual Injustice Batman from Storm Collectibles. And then here he is with his Storm Collectibles Injustice brothers. We got the Lobo and Bane. Now I think Bane and Darkseid, these are some good sizes, but Lobo runs way too big in my opinion. You go back and you bring in Scorpion, who's a normal 7-inch scale figure, and you bring in Superman here, and Lobo is just way too tall. In Injustice, you have two character types. You have normal size fighters and you have large size fighters. And Lobo in Injustice was a normal size fighter, so I think Lobo should be definitely maybe an inch or so shorter. But I guess we'll have to wait and see for Storm Collectibles' version of Batman and Superman, and if they even scale with the Mortal Kombat figures and the other 7-inch lines. And here he is with someone on more equal footing. We got the Storm Collectibles Doomsday. And you see Doomsday is actually just a little bit taller. His head's a bit smaller, but he does run just a little bit taller than Darkseid. And I think that's about right. They should be around the same size, more or less. But I love the Storm Collectibles line. You go back ahead, you bring in Lobo, and then you bring back your McFarlane Toys Superman, and you just have a great Superman display right here. I'd love to even get a Lex Luthor from Storm Collectibles in that big robot suit. But yeah, overall, what a great Superman display that you didn't even have a year ago. You didn't have any of these great Superman figures. You know, Batman's always going to have real cool figures and imports and everything like that. But for these Superman-centric characters, these are some really high-quality figures. And even if you're not an Injustice fan, I think these fit in as like definitive versions of these characters. So if you're any kind of DC Comics fan, I think these are all must-haves. But overall, that's going to do it for the Storm Collectibles Darkseid. And when it comes to Darkseid figures, there really isn't that much of a selection. You have a few from DC Collectibles here and there. You have a few from Mattel here and there. But I think even if you're not an Injustice guy, like I said, this is going to be your definitive 6-7-inch scale Darkseid figure. As you see, I got him in his iconic pose here. And I think, like I said, this is a definitive figure you got to get for your DC shelf. And even with the McFarlanes, I think he's going to go great with those figures. And I'm so excited to see what Storm Collectibles has next in the pot for Injustice. That Scorpion's the only Mortal Kombat figure I have, but I ordered their newest Scorpion and as well as the red variant Raiden on Big Bad Toy Store, as well as Motaro. So it looks like I'm going head first into Mortal Kombat as well. Any kind of reviews like that you're going to expect to see here on the Scoopman 5000 YouTube channel. If you like what you saw, you like any kind of action figure reviews, make sure you stay tuned right here to the Scoopman 5000 channel. As always, I'm going to leave it off with some photos I took of the figure. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next action figure review.